pit stop. It's a pit stop. Pit stop. It's a pit stop. Pit stop. It's a pit stop. Pit stop. And we are back with your Purple Pants podcast pit stop coverage of Amazing Race season 36. I am joined by my amazing, my talented, my she don't get a shirt co-host, Miss Brooke Cam High, the winner of Amazing Race season 29. Brooke, how you doing?
Miss She Don't Get a Shirt co-host. That's fine. We'll talk about it when we get there. I'm good. I'm salty. It's fine. It's good. We're joined with more important people than I today. I'm very, very excited. Can I do it? I do it?
Lead it in. Sing it in. Sing.
I hate to play favorites, but I can't help myself. If you're looking at the screen, you will know that we are joined with the beautiful, the talented, the tall, and model-esque and wonderful Todd and Ashlie. Woo!
Hey, what's up? What's up, Purple Podcast? Thank you for having us on.
Yay! Brice got me a bell, and I'm irresponsible with it now.
I love the bell. Thank you so much for having us. It's a pleasure to be here. And you know what? After a pretty awesome episode, so I'm really excited.
We're going to get into it.
Yeah.
I feel like this is great. So I take so many notes. I have 16 pages, but honestly, you're our first guests of the season. And when we talked about who we wanted, honestly, it was so easy. It was like, Todd and Ashlie, I don't need these notes today. I'm not doing anything. I'm just going to sit back. I'm going to let Todd take over.
Oh, no. We don't need no dad tours on this podcast.
Dad Detour, let's go.
This is the first 4-hour Purple Pants Amazing Race podcast.
And like we went through all different kind of avenues. Yeah. You know? Like, that's not good.
I do have a question for you guys before we get started. What is it like after your season has aired and a new Amazing Race season is on?
Okay.
Wait, there's two answers here.
Yeah. Ashley's answer and then my answer.
My answer is the salty answer. Todd's is the more, very much like how we ran it. I'm a little salty. Todd's a little positive. Mm-hmm. I feel like for me, I compare everything to how we raced. And so I'm a little salty about it. I'm like, well, we would have killed that challenge, or we would have won the race on this. I'm just so salty. And Todd's more of like, you gotta think positive. This is a great season.
Well, my perspective is it's like a new normal, right? Like we're in this new world, and you two know it. You guys been in it. We don't know. This is our first season after our season, and so you got to fight like all types of emotion, all types of like feeling certain ways, and really, not getting like low key jealous, like. Hey, it's not us anymore, right?
I'm like not even low-key jealous. I'm legitimate, like out there. I will tell you, Ashlie, you will never stop doing that where you will go. So I think it was Will and James.
Yeah, but you won. You won.
Does not matter. Yeah. Does not matter.
It does.
No, musical theater person. And when a season after yours, the first task is like in Trinidad and Tobago, and it's like play a steel drum and do something musical or this and that. And I'm like, what did we get to do? Like it was like all stairs and all misery and it's like
but we have a different perspective because you're like, oh, we didn't get to do that. Like I'm thinking like, man, I could have won this one, because like we didn't win. So
not even in first place. I'm like, we would have every single episode so far. Todd and I are like, we could have probably gotten first place there.
Plus, it's easy thinking higher of yourself. You're like, I would have killed
after
this.
After the fact. Yeah.
Totally. I get it. I totally understand. Do either of you speak fluent Spanish?
No, poquito español. Yeah.
Well, I am really impressed that you then think that you would have. I mean, I believe in you both, but it's sort of become a running joke that if you don't speak fluent Spanish, you're no longer on this season of The Amazing Race.
Clearly.
Kinda, right?
Clearly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we took Spanish. That was kind of part of our what was our casting?
They trained.
We met during our Spanish and English class, and so we learned nothing that year. So we probably would have been terrible on this season because
I just knew all the dirty words and all the
yeah. We got nothing accomplished. So
is there a team that you guys see on this season that you can see yourself in?
Well, at first, like I really like gravitate towards Rod and Letitia just because like he's like a beast. He's a big dude. He's like athletic, right? And so I'm like, yeah. But then like you see him, like I think 2 episodes ago, he like leaped over a whole fence. And I'm like, oh man.
Like it was 6 inches off the ground he left. I watched that several times. It was ridiculous.
So I was like, okay, all right, this is a different level, right?
I also think too the yellow team, Derek and is it
Shalisa.
Shalisa. So I just love how they bicker and banter because I really do feel like that was how Todd and I were a lot of the times, and that has a lot to do with. Sorry, our kids just got home from school. It really does have a lot to do with like how long you've known somebody, how well you know somebody, and so like I could watch them run the race like every season. They are hilarious, and like she mentioned, that's just kind of how they communicate. So I am all about Team Yellow.
And you know what? I love Team Yellow. Like they don't pull any punches. Like that's them, right? And so they talk to each other the way real married couples talk to each other. So I was like, that's life goals for us.
For
you know, definitely.
Could not agree more.
I love it. So where are we at this episode, Miss Cam High?
Oh, I still have to do the legwork?
You do.
Yeah. All right. We're in another Spanish.
She has our notes ready.
All right. We're in another Spanish-speaking country because whatever, but I'll get over it. And we're doing a mega leg where we have 2 roadblocks, 2 detours, double the everything, quadruple the Spanish, and we're leaving in 3 groups. How do you guys feel about leaving in the... Did you guys leave in group starts? You did.
No.
We're the first team back from the original way of doing things.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about this?
I would be a little bitter, like if I came in first place and I was still grouped in with the top 3, because that's the whole advantage of coming in first. Is not only do you win that leg or first or second, is you get to leave earlier. So, I mean, I understand why they do it, but again, it's just one of those things where it kind of pulls you down a bit, I guess. But I guess it is beneficial for the other teams. So it's like, I would hate it if I was in first, but I'd love it if I was in third.
Oh, they gave up. Oh, no, they're back. So they're starting in the group start times again, which is great if you're in third place, crappy if you're in first place, really great if you're in last place, as long as you're starting with somebody else. And so group 1 is Ricky and Caesar, because who else would it be? And Juan and Shane, who have decided that this leg, they are going to do a clean race. They're not going to let little mistakes trip them up, which either means that they're going to come in first or they're going home, because that's the way that the Amazing Race does things. And then group 2, you have the team of 6, which is what I'm going to call them for the rest of the day, because they have all decided to work as one team of 6 people. So you have, just Todd and Ashlie, you guys should know that like it is sacrilege apparently on this podcast to say anything other than 100% niceties about Angie, because Brice is an Angie stan. So I get a little bit raked across the coals if I'm not like the most positive.
But do you guys, what do you think about Angie and Danny?
Be honest.
Okay.
Danny's extremely good with her, but almost too soft with her. Like he needs to be a little more like, Mom, like this is my dream. Let's go, you know?
I like them. I really do. However, I do feel that their approach to the race is completely different from. Let me rephrase. I feel like they are racing this race as super fans, not necessarily racing the race to win. That makes sense.
So, okay, because, you know, I love Angie and I love you, Ashlie, but I'm going to have to. So I feel you. I feel it's Danny, because I feel Angie is running the race to run the race, which is reason 706,000 why I do love Angie. But like, figure this, Ashlie, like say, I think why I'm so connected to Angie is because like my mom, and say maybe 30 years from now, your middle child is your daughter, right?
She's my youngest.
Your youngest. So say your youngest, like that's her dream. And like, would you not go on it and do your best to do whatever you could do to like
100%.
So
100%. So I will say this. So I think overall, I will say I agree with you, because looking back at it, I think it was 2 episodes ago where Angie was the one who was telling Danny, like, keep your trap.
Shut up.
Stop it.
Yeah.
Stop. We're done here. So I do think that she has more of a different approach to the race, where Danny is more of the fan, where he just wants the experience. But I think Angie can kind of see full circle of like, hey,
I will,
but like, also know who you're racing with.
I will say Danny pissed me off in this episode because it's like, stop helping people, bro. And it's like some people come back, hey, let's all work together. It's like, no, dude, like time to compete. Let's go.
I feel a little for Danny because as someone who was like the weaker, slower member of their team and who always felt that as long as you can see another team, then you're in a good place. Like the worst feeling, I don't know how many times you felt it on the race, but the worst feeling is to not know where you are, like what place you're currently in, because you can't see the little chyron on the bottom of the screen that says currently in second place or whatever, but also to not see anybody else around you and the longer that goes on, the worse it is. So I sort of get what Danny is doing. Like keep the people near you. So at least you know that somebody's near you. You're doing, if somebody's doing wrong, at least two teams are doing wrong. So I get that. And I also see how he sort of wants to help everyone because I do think he thinks that there may come a time, given, you know, their physicality, that they may need the help back. And I think Danny, we didn't see it because I don't think he would ever tell his mom off on TV, but I would not be surprised if they went back to their hotel room after this last episode and Danny was like, Mom, like it wouldn't have hurt us to like help them. Now we've pissed off two teams. And what if we need them? We may need them. So the one thing I really do like about Danny this episode is when Angie, no shade, thought about taking a penalty, the words came out of her mouth. Like she'd already done the race course a few times. Like she could do it, but she thought about penalty. Yes. And he said, if I hear that word come out of your mouth, things will go wrong. You are not taking a penalty. He knew the amount of time. He knew the 4 hours. I'm sure he knew that wasn't going to start until another team showed up. Like, 4 hours don't start, Brice, just so you know, the second you take a penalty. If you take a penalty and another team doesn't show up for another hour, your penalty doesn't start until the next team shows up. So you're technically taking a 5-hour penalty. So he said to her, take as much time as you need, but don't let that word cross your lips. So I appreciate Danny's assertiveness in that moment. I'm also a fan of the team. But I will say there are some other teams that are really, really climbing the ranks for me, especially the teams that were Group 3, which, if I have it right, who was Group 3? Oh, yeah, Yvonne and Melissa. Love them, need them to have more airtime, think they're hilarious. And then Sunny and Busy, who are lunatics in the best possible way. I mean that as just the best compliment in the world. And then, Derek and Shalisa, but it is what it is. And I'm actually really, really sad because I enjoyed them so much. So
I will say with that race challenge, Danny's politicking came through for him, So
Listen,
I mean, you got to pick a side, Todd. You want him to not help, or do you want them to help? So I'm just saying, Coach, you pick a side.
Okay, so when you're when you're playing to survive, you're with the pack. When you're playing to win, you're by yourself.
Yeah.
And so they're obviously playing to survive. We got caught up in that as well on our race. So it's like, the scariest part is being in first or last because no one's around, right? And so he's playing to survive and he's doing it, but that you're not going to win that way. You're just not.
And he did preface it in the beginning of the episode where he was like, hey, we're not here to win the Mega Lake. We're here to survive the Mega Lake. And so he did. I do think that they are smart in their approach.
So Brice, I pick your side.
Thank you.
Full circle.
You guys talked me into it.
But I'm saying they could be down at the halftime, Todd, and then that third quarter, Angie and Danny could tap in. We don't know.
Yeah, but you know how the race is. You get so caught up in like the way you run it. I don't see them switching it up. It's not like a light switch you could turn off and on. So I think I don't know. They might finish around 5th or 6th. Like I don't think they're gonna make it to the top 3 with that.
And if they do, I only think it's if Angie beats the helping out of Danny. I think she will just have to
I agree.
Force him to stop.
I agree.
And if she can make him stop, if there's a lot of puzzles, and if there's not a lot of running, and if it's a lot of mental,
right. Also,
then I think they stand a fighting chance. Yeah.
I agree.
Also, I wonder how the other teams feel about Danny, because it's like, dude, you're helping me an hour ago. Now I see you helping somebody else. Like at some point you got to be like, bro, like stop helping everyone. Like, help me, but don't help everyone,
I also think that when you do form those big, strong alliances like we saw in this episode, me just being my salty player that I am, I would try to create an alliance to specifically go after them. So it's like, okay, I see you three like icing me out at this detour. Guess what's going to happen next? I'm going to pair up with this group and we're going hard for you. So I do feel like as much as an alliance can help, it could also bite you in the butt too.
Yeah, because if you go like mano y mano with that team, it's like in a foot race. You're like, okay, that's fine.
And we've seen Rod and Letitia clearly, like Danny and Angie might help them, but when it's time for them to take off, they're not looking back. And so I do get upset.
No, disagree. You said this before. I'm disagreeing with you. Rod and Letitia did the bicycle. So they get to this detour. It's biking or the Boladero thing. Rod and Letitia finished the biking because obviously they finished first because his thighs are the thickness of my waist. And he's got the biggest legs. He is so strong. And they finished and they didn't leave. They sat and they got directions.
Do you want to know
and
why?
Short of pedaling the bike for somebody. Well, because they needed Danny for the directions.
Because they needed Danny for the directions, right? Like they knew that if they left.
That's true.
That's going to be their downfall is the directions. And why the heck did they choose the roping challenge to begin with? Like that bicycle challenge was Rod 100%. They should have chose that right off the bat.
I mean, this leg was made for Rod. We always say that if you stay in the race long enough, there's going to be a task that's made for you. Absent football being the task, the soccer where he could just literally knock everybody over, and the bicycle where he could use his brute strength of his legs, like this day was made for him. So what happens is we have the bicycle where you're basically soul cycling your way to chop apart these plastic bottles, and you have I want to say Boladero. I think that's the right way to say it, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Where you have to throw the bolo around a really, really realistic looking fake cow thing. You get 10 tries. You got to do it each of you have to do it within the same 10 tries, right? Yeah. And so Ricky and Cesar go to the Boladero. Oh, by the way, cutest little outfit with it. Like that's the outfit I would have kept from. Did you guys keep anything from your season? Did you have any cute little things that you got to keep?
No, because I would have, but I was like, I ain't carrying it. So like just toss it out. So
Ashley looked pretty amazing in like that India dancing challenge, but they didn't.
Imagine if I kept that whole garb. No.
Yeah. Bouncing pots on her head. Yeah.
Did they make you change out of it when you finished the task?
Yeah.
Because we had one in Greece where we had these ridiculous little like pom-poms and adorableness, but they made us change out of it. In Venice, we got these like gondolier shirts and they didn't make us change out of it, and it's sitting in my closet because they kept
I actually like when they let you continue your race in the uniform or whatever the setup is. Yeah, I just feel like it's, I don't know, more enjoyable to watch. Anyway.
Especially if people look a little ridiculous and they're running through the streets and people are like, why is that person dressed like, I don't understand.
Yeah.
So then Juan and Shane show up and they're doing the Boladero. And then the team of 6 show up and one decides to switch. So they all decide to switch and they go to the bicycling. And then you have Yvonne and Melissa do the bolos. And you notice, because Brice, we said this once before, Ricky and Cesar were not helpful and didn't tell people where to go. They told, without even being asked for help, Yvonne and Melissa where to go for the bolo thing. So I think either they're trying to garner some goodwill or they just didn't realize that they were being helpful in the moment.
At the start of the season, do they know that there aren't any U-turns?
I think that I would guess that they know. I mean, it's this far along and they haven't heard anything about anything. I would guess. I would love to see how they would do on a season with like all the stuff.
Hey.
It's so true. It does change how you decide to start and how you treat other players. It really is such a huge dynamic of the Amazing Race, you know? So
I have a few theories.
Oh, buckle up.
Okay, so
let's hear them.
Okay, so on this last what is it, Detour, right? Number 1, Rod and Letitia, they chose the wrong one, right? Initially.
Right?
Initially. So that is that's problematic, right? Number 2, Cesar and Ricky, man, I tip my cap to them because they stuck it out and they got it done, right? And it's like that one wasn't maybe the best challenge for them, but like they stuck with it and they got it done. So
Yeah.
that was very impressive because how easy, especially once they saw Juan and Shane, like bam and out of there, like you're starting to be like, hey, should we get out of here and try the other one? So they stuck with it and they pulled it out. And so that to me, that perseverance and the way they pulled it out, I don't know, man, that like they're looking like a really, really strong team.
Yeah, they are.
They are definitely.
I think we would all be very surprised if they didn't make it. Now, I don't know what you guys know, and if you know, don't say, because Brice and I make it a point to know nothing. But I would be really, really surprised if running to the final mat, Ricky and Cesar were not there. Like, just given, you know, that they're not going to end up in some country where they don't speak the language and how well and smart they're racing.
Yeah. And on this one, I lost a little respect for a team.
Oh,
we gotta say who
he's
now.
not like holding anything
Like
back.
honestly, like Vinny, bro, like come on, dude. Like it's just pedaling a bike, you know? And so it's like, dude, like come on. And so that kind of like irks me the wrong way. And then I think her name is it Amber? Amber, like she didn't know how to back up the pedal to go forward again. Like, and he had to like physically grab her foot and like move it back and forth. Is like, come on, figure it out. So like that's very problematic.
I feel for Amber. I feel like I'm protective of Amber because I feel like Amber is me and I am her. And as the slower, a little bit weaker, not maybe smarter. She might be the smarter of the team, but she's physically less capable, or at least she believes she is.
Right, but you get that on every team. Every team, you kind of know, like, I'm not like the best at this, or I'm not the best at that. But like the way Vinny like has said, like, hurry up, you need to run faster. Like, you need to hurry up.
Right, that's
like,
very hard for someone who is not able to, because I feel like Amber is literally giving it her all. I don't think she's sitting there going, I need to walk. I can't do it.
Yeah,
Someone who said I can't.
Right.
And I just feel like he's doesn't realize that he's being so hard on her, because for him it comes very easily. So I have a special soft spot in my heart for the girl who I feel like is trying her best, but her body just won't let her do anymore.
Which is fine. And so like I think my bone to pick is with Vinny, because a couple episodes ago he's yelling at her to hurry up and run faster, and then all of a sudden you can't pedal a bike. I mean, you know, it's like, come on, dude, like, you know. And so like there's a few times on the race where I did not go there with Ashlie. Like, I'm not going to yell at her to hurry up.
Because I'd be like, well, then I'm
right.
I
and so it's like, wow,
further.
he got away with talking to her like that. That's crazy.
I will say I did like
know?
Amber when Vinny was like, he was just like going so hard on the bike, and she was all, it's not a, what is she like? It's not a sprint, Vinny. It's a marathon.
It's a marathon.
But I love that though, because like I felt like that was like her time to be like, I don't know, just kind of like give him what he gave her a couple legs ago too.
So yeah, I think I do like Amber. I think Vinny, like, he's like, hurry up. But then when it's your time to like pay the piper, it's like, oh wait, can we switch? Can we switch on the bike? It's like, no, man, push through that. Let's
push
go.
through.
Yeah.
And kudos to Angie for hopping on the bike. Brice, I'm going to give your Angie some kudos, because
thank you.
She was not like, Danny, you have to do the whole thing. She hopped right on there. So, okay, so group 3 has started. The whatever Alliance of 6 is working together. Who cares? And then, I just threw out the order they finished in. Whoops. Whatever. They all do their detour, because there's 18 things that happen on this episode. And so when you finish the detour, you have to drive yourself to this Circuito Lobo race to find this racetrack, this dusty whatever. Meanwhile, the team of 6 is on the bikes. They're doing that, whatever. And Juan and Shane are being chased by an adorable puppy that I would adopt and take with me. Yeah. We like to talk about the dogs. Okay. So because Ricky and Cesar are really good at directions, they pass Juan and Shane and they end up at the racetrack first. This roadblock cracked me up. So Todd and Ashlie, I went and watched this episode with Kishori and Ricky and Cesar and Rowan and Lala and Greg. Yeah, there we are. We all went and watched together, and I am laughing so hard. And the best part is Ricky is laughing so hard. He is such a good sport about the fact that he was like, I don't know how I didn't realize that this was just a 9-piece puzzle. He's like, I am sitting in that car being like, left, and then we did that, and then and just, it's sometimes you get your blinders on and you don't realize there was only one solution for this puzzle. So, but then to see some of the people I'm sure Brice can talk about Letitia, whose puzzle just didn't even, it was like modern art and made no sense. This one, I think, was such a good task and a fun one to watch people try.
Oh, yeah. Every episode I throw my pillow at the TV. This was the time I did that, because it's like, why are you making the track run into nothing?
Right.
Like, what are you doing? Like, it's a puzzle at the end of the day, right?
To be fair, that would have been me. I would have been like, I would have been trying to memorize like slight left, slight right.
Yeah, but when you got to the puzzle, you would have seen it was a puzzle, right? I feel like she would have seen.
But see, I struggle with that though, because I feel like, although I know it is a puzzle, I feel like when we got there and we're putting the pieces up, I would have still been trying to, like, I don't know. I think I would have had to get in the car like 4 or 5 times to really kind of figure out what is actually going on with it. So it was like a little hard for me to actually figure out that, like, it's kind of just a sliding puzzle. But I also feel like I would have put the puzzles down on the ground and just kind of figured it out on the ground, because if you think that you're going to put it together up there and not put it together down on the ground, I feel like what's happening. And especially after like riding through that course 4 times. But again, I think the thing that pissed me off the most this episode was that, like, really just riding in the car is just riding in the car. Right. Like, I think, like, I don't think that I would have like realized that. Like, I really feel like Ashlie said, like, I feel like I would have been like, left, right. Oh, we move it to the right. We move it to the left. Come to the thing. Like, that would have pissed me off in the end, when it's like, oh, I could just sit in this car and close my eyes.
I kind of wish that the task had been like, they had a whole like kind of a maze where they had the puzzle up with different things, and you had to actually draw in the route that you went, because then it would have been like, we went left, we went this, we did that, and that would have been a little bit harder, because then you actually have to pay attention. I think once people realize this is just to sort of jumble our brain and we don't have to pay attention, that it became easier for people.
So here's my question to you, the Amazing Race expert. Do you feel like they purposely mislead you? Like, is that a thing? Because again, like Phil said, you got to memorize this course, right? Like, and so anyone, clearly we see all the teams like trying to memorize it, but not really the puzzle. Okay. Because
I think the whole point of a roadblock clue is to be really, really cryptic, because it's really good TV when the person who shouldn't have chosen it and has a hard time doing it is the person who does it. Which
the story, Karishma.
Or Brooke, because when the roadblock clue just says who likes heavy metal and one of you is musical and the other is not, you just ignore the fact that you're in a metal workshop and you're going, I shouldn't be me, it shouldn't be me. And then you're talked into doing it. They don't give you the details until after. And so I don't know if they did have to memorize it because they had to put the puzzle together, but they didn't really have to memorize it.
Right, because you're just putting the puzzle together. So you're like, which ones fit? So, but yeah, that was just a little. I was thinking, again, watching, my poor Angie having to get in that car all them times. Like, I'm thinking, like, this has to be so hard to memorize what's going on. And then realizing that it's really just a puzzle and you just kind of make it fit. Although I still would have struggled because I think, I want to say maybe like 5 seasons of Survivor. I downloaded, because Wendell was like, when I was preparing for his season, he downloaded like slide puzzles. So whenever I am flying anywhere, I always like upload my slide puzzles, and I like try to.
I have an app. I love slide puzzles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel like I excel at the medium one. The hard one,
they're not going to give you a hard one. They're going to give you medium at best, and probably easy.
Do you think, Ashlie or Todd, like, how long do you think it would have taken you to realize that you don't really need to remember the course and that it's just a slide puzzle? Because I'm still confused about the slide puzzle and actually putting the course together.
If I would still be there if I did it, I would still be there trying to memorize the turns. Todd probably would have figured it out immediately. I was
yelling at the TV and going, I could do this without doing the track.
Yeah.
Because it's just a 9-piece puzzle. Because you didn't need to ride the Todd, I honestly agree. 100%.
You did it 4 times. You have the starting line on the right, or on the bottom, on the left or the top. Either way, it's a circle track, essentially, right? And then right.
But Todd, what I'm trying to figure out though is where was this energy when you had to get the barnacles and the anchor? Like, I'm just trying to figure out where was this energy at back then? Because
that's the same thing I was saying earlier, right? It's so much easier to be like, hey, I'll do this, but it's like, I don't know. I feel like puzzles would have been my thing. Finding a chain in the middle of an ocean, like I don't know. Maybe
I mean, some say that's a puzzle too.
Yeah.
It's not.
It really is
not.
You know what? You could chalk it up to race brain, I guess. But the problem is like it was more than one team. It was like 90% of them, you know? And so you're like, man, there must have been something going on there.
Well, the race does a really good job of making you think that a part of that activity is pivotal for you to complete, when you're like, that's just a distraction. Like the biggest part of this is really just a 9-piece puzzle, but there's gotta be something to do with this car ride. Like, you know, so it's hard to separate those because, you know,
I will say, Brice, I wouldn't have the track going into nothing, right? Like, it's just like going into nothing. And you're like,
Letitia was on a helicopter, Todd, so that's why her track looked a little different. They were flying to the pieces. But I was looking at that like, Letitia, did you roll something up before you got in that car?
Sorry. I love her. That's so funny to me. Okay, so Juan and Shane are out of there in 30 seconds because Juan is just, his brain has been turned on today. He is amazing. You have Shane being like, he's not going to get it. He's not that smart. Then he gets it, and Shane's like, that's not going to look good on TV. I made fun of him. Which is so funny. And at the same time, Derek and Shalisa are back at the Bolos, and Shalisa gets it, and Derek is having so much trouble. And I started screaming at my TV screen because she's like, we need to switch. And I'm like, he still has 2 more tries. What are you doing? Give him. And she's like, we need to go. And he's like, but I can do it. And she's like, we need to go. And he's like, okay. And they switch. And I feel like they would still be in it if they didn't switch.
I'm with you.
Or if you switch, use your 10 throws. He had 2 more throws.
Like, what if he got it on that
right
throw, but you didn't give him the opportunity, right?
Yeah, there's 2 throws left on the board. That takes you what, like 10 seconds? Like, just go for it, you know?
Yeah, I think. Do you remember the twins from this season? They were on, like, I really think this would have been their challenge. I really feel
he
like
says that about everything. Okay, so again, I'm sorry.
I really feel like
Brice, I would like you to please explain for the group, if you wouldn't mind. I'm genuinely asking, what about the twins made you believe that this or anything would have been their challenge? I love the twins. They were so fun to watch, but is it because something has to be their thing and maybe it's this, or
I just feel like they're very detail oriented.
What? You're messing with me. He's messing with me.
The brothers?
Yes, the brothers. Yeah. Like, I feel like, you know, they're adventurous, and I just feel like their twin, is it telepathy? I feel like it would have, they could have got it. I just feel like this could have been theirs. If they were still in the race, I feel like this would have been their race.
I feel like they would have switched 6 times back and forth.
I mean, I don't know. I'm with Brooke. I don't know if I get that. I don't know if I see that connection.
I think he's just trying to mess with me. I think he does this every week.
I will say I'm super impressed with Cesar and
Ricky
for like just sticking with it, man. Like, that was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Because I would have been out after like a few times, but
but here's the thing though. I think they're also very smart in the fact that they realized, hey, there's that I didn't necessarily like about, was it the second group? That you don't factor in the time it is to travel between detours, right? Or, you know, so it's like, hey, let's switch. But let's say it takes you, I don't know how far the next one was, but like it's 15, 20 minutes. If you would have just stayed at that one for another 15, 20 minutes, I guarantee you would eventually get it, right, within that window. So
I don't think Angie would have got it.
Hey, you know what, Todd? Thank you for coming, because when we are not what we not doing, Todd, Anthony, Martin.
Do not hang up on them. That's that. Oh my God. It's it's not a democracy. It's a dictatorship around here. You say something against the ruler and you are out.
Oh,
I do believe
my
Angie. I do believe Angie would have struggled on this one. So again, but Angie knew where to go.
Smart, right? Like Rod needs to take control a little bit and be like, hey, wait, there's a bike, there's a physical challenge. They need to go into the challenges like we did. Like, hey, if it's detail oriented or skill oriented versus like grinded out physicality, they need to go physicality every time.
Do you think they would have placed higher if they didn't stick with the group?
Who, Rod and Letitia? I think they would have been lower because they struggled. Well, I don't know, because Rod can figure out the map. I know Letitia has said that it's just not her thing, and they need to take more time. So I don't know. I think they still would have been in the third group.
Okay, yeah.
I
don't know, man. They finished the bicycle fast, and if they weren't waiting around for people, he finished the soccer thing fast, the bicycle thing fast.
But you saw Juan and Shane. They got lost on that dirt road getting to the next one. I think Rod and Letitia would have struggled there.
Yeah.
I love them. I don't know.
I feel like, but yeah, other than the navigation part, as far as choosing like what detour to do, like Rod needs to be like, no, let's go physicality every time, because they would have smoked everyone in that.
Yeah. And what is the one where you have to? The detour is the one that everyone does together, right? And then the roadblock. Right?
It's been like a lot of
so
seasons.
How did you guys navigate when, say, you know this roadblock? Oh, this is a Todd heavy roadblock, but you know that Todd has to do a certain number of the roadblocks. How do you navigate that? What was your mindset?
Well, we were going. We were gonna go like take turns. But every once in a while, when it like had to do with heights, I would have taken it. If it had to do with eating, I would have taken it.
But I think it was just one of those things, because you don't get a lot of details when you open it, right? I think it's like a quick little like snippet, and you have to make a decision. So we really did base the decision only on that few sentences, and I think it really kind of just worked out
for us. Yeah.
That's the way it played out. I mean, the green thumb one, which Todd's like, oh, you would be fantastic because you like plants, and I nearly died in that freaking pond. But I think it just, the way it worked out for us on our season.
I would say choosing the roadblock is a lot harder because they give you a short little thing and you have to choose. But the detour one with like the bike or the bandolero thing, like they give you a lot of information on that. And so I think that was inexcusable. Rod should have been like, oh, riding a bike, like I'm gonna kill everybody.
I do say, because sometimes we give like little snippets for future racers, something to think about. We were very bad at choosing the roadblocks because we argued a lot. Even though like this one shouldn't.
So bad you got first place, right? Just checking. All right.
We got better as the race went on. But for example, in leg 2, it was something, who likes things squeaky clean? Now, I'm obsessive compulsive and I clean everything, and it should have been me. Also, had we looked up, you had to like come over the edge of a skyscraper. Scott was terrified of heights, but I had hurt my arm and I was like, I can't do whatever it is. But had we looked up, I probably still would have done it. If you're on the race, take 10 seconds and maybe look around, because race blinders are a legitimately real thing. And if you don't look around, you will make a wrong decision, and your partner will cuss you out as he is going down the side of a building and wishing you dead on national television.
That's probably the best advice. I mean, you nailed it on the head, is take everything in, like, because you get so glued.
But how many times do you hear that, and then once you're on the race, it doesn't happen, right? So
it's like, I know, but I feel like if I give the advice, then at least I can say I told you so when I'm talking.
Right. But like, we heard you guys, we heard everyone, and we got into it, and it was just like, so it's like there's nothing you could do, but you kind of just gotta
take a beat.
Yeah.
Take a beat.
It's hard.
It is funny. It's hard to take a beat. So, okay. So, Sunny and
I do have one more question. Brooke, I do got a question. Now, I've asked Brooke this question a million times, but I want to ask Todd and Ashlie. On the Amazing Race, when you get to roadblocks and you get to detours, as a viewer, someone myself who has never played, but I know that if I did play, I could beat Todd in practically everything. Not Ashlie, but Todd. Okay. But I'm just saying. When we see the teams that like are struggling, and struggling and struggling. And then towards the end, I feel like the judges be like, all right, go ahead.
They do.
What's your assessment? They do.
I believe so. That's
Wait,
my
what? What was the question?
Okay. All right. Todd Anthony is back in.
Wait,
okay.
ask it again. What was
So
your question?
my question is, I feel like the judges, you know how to judge? No.
Yeah. Oh, my best judge.
No. Like, I feel like in the beginning, they be very, 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 very strict.
Yeah.
But it's a couple of times last season, and I ain't saying no names, but Todd should have had to do a couple of things over again because I was feeling like no, but
You're supposed
but
to be
I
nice
do feel
to
like some teams though, I'd be like, now wait a minute. They supposed to be doing the salsa and they are twerking and doing the butterfly. Like, how did they say yes to that?
I will have to, and I will say I agree with you, Brice. I'm gonna say yes, and not just from being on the race, but like watching past seasons. I think there was a season with Bopper and
Mark.
They were in India and they had to do a dance, and I think Mark did it like 100 times, and he was just like, I'm out. You know, I do think that there is a threshold where they're like, he's either going to die or we just pass them, you know? So that's just observing as, you know, as
yeah,
a
I mean,
viewer.
how do you explain Corey in our season getting through the
The
pot?
hat thing.
Yeah.
But I mean,
I think at some point the producers start to feel badly for you and they have to let you go at some point. At some point it becomes about trying, not necessarily succeed. I mean, you saw Joel do the flippity river dance. Like, he wasn't good at it, but he tried and tried and tried and tried. And I think they're like, okay, that's the best you're going to get from him. And for him, that's a pass. And so
I agree.
I have a theory of 5.
Okay.
Try it 5 times and you're probably through.
the one thing I will say about Ashlie is I wish you asked for checks earlier because I feel Ashlie tried to make things perfect and it does. I think this is Derek's line from this season. C's get degrees. It doesn't need to be perfect. It needs to be passable. And I loved you guys so much that when I was like, why is she not like, you're not going to get it on your first check. Sometimes they just won't give it to you on check 1, which is why some teams prefer to only do tasks where it's not subjective. Like if you filled something up to a line, they have to let you go. They can't say no. But if it's like a dance thing and it could be like, you know, more energy or this or that or whatever, sometimes they just don't give it to you on try 1. So ask for checks fast.
If you're the first person up in the first run, it could be a 9.9 out of 10 and they're going to say no. But if you're like the last place, it could be a 5.9 and they're going to be like, keep it moving.
Yeah,
Let's go.
I will say in Venice, Italy, when we had to sing in a gondola, we got it on our first try, even though we were the first
Hey,
one.
there we go.
Although
you're a musical major with a degree.
I sang opera in college in Italian, and this was that was the one that was made for me. However, my partner also had to sing, and you had to wait till you got to a port. So even though we got it on try 1, they made us sing it a second time for shits and for fun and giggles because we weren't at a stopping point yet.
Okay, now since we're getting into like this rabbit hole, I gotta ask you another question. I've asked Brooke this, and now I need to know because I'm interested in Todd's take specifically. But I feel like Ashley gonna be with me. So when you have to get to the boats, and they be like, the boat you choose is the boat you have to stay in. If you pick a boat and that sucker stops working, let me calm down. What do y'all feel? Do you feel like you're just stuck in the boat? Don't you feel like the Amazing Race should have people testing the boats like before everybody goes? Or
well, thankfully, nothing like that happened to us. But, kind of our rickshaws in India, the drivers were terrible, right?
But y'all picked the wrong one because you picked the wrong one.
Right. And you're like, wait. So your mind starts playing tricks on you. Like, is this the producers messing with us? Like, you don't know if it's part of the show. Like, you almost, and I hate to say it, you get like very like paranoid and suspicious. Like, hey, they're setting me up here. Like, you know, so yeah, definitely you feel that way for sure.
Well, we saw Angie and Danny, like, I think it was second episode.
Yeah,
on
Danny
the boat.
handled it well too.
They handled it. I would have gotten out of the water and like grab a hold and like one arm swim that boat just because it sucks but that goes to the whole like cab driver too thing. So right, like there's a lot of the stuff in the race that you just can't control. So I do think that it's very similar to like getting a bad taxi driver, right? So it's like you can't control it. That is just the luck of the draw, and that is that is why the race is so fantastic and so fun, is because, you know.
Yeah, but that's definitely something that we still think about, and you know, we talk about, and we're like, hey,
on a weekly basis.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so my last one, because I just feel like this is so fun. First of all, your background of your home looks amazing. I know that you said that you recently moved. I'm not sure if you moved before or after, but let's pretend you didn't. Did moving your mattress, moving in, hit different before or after the race?
I think, like I said, we've moved so many times that I felt that was the challenge that was made for us. I think personally, I will say when we move again, I will probably be a little less myself and a little more gracious.
I will say, like, the show didn't give her props for moving that mattress because
she hurt her thumb, right?
Yeah, she hurt her thumb, but she's the only woman that did it out of the whole cast.
I kind of feel like, Todd, I feel like that week I was like, I don't think you gave her props because I remember her being like, I think my finger fell off. And you're like, it's fine. You've got 9 more.
And
like,
Todd was like, come on, move that mattress. Let's go. And I'm like, come on, bro.
Ashlie was a trooper.
What is that?
Hey, don't leave me hanging. Speak on that. Please.
No, because we was like, what is Todd doing?
He's got 9 fingers now. Look at her. I mean.
No.
What a jerk. Did Ashlie do that when he missed the free throw on the basketball court?
Yeah.
No, so I will say, the reason why Todd said that is because he knows me, and he knows that, like, if he were to coddle me in that moment, like that wouldn't help the situation. He, like, there was no benefit in stopping and taking a look at my finger, because it's like at that point he like, and you did look at it and you were like, yeah, no, you jammed it. It's fine. I do think that, like, Todd, I don't think that would have been a benefit.
No, like, okay, there's two.
I was mostly joking. I really don't think you were hard on her because honestly, I'm the same way. I like to say I can't do things and scream and be like, no, and then people are like, what's wrong? Should we stop? And I'm like, we can't stop. Nobody stops it, because if you stop, it's actually harder to start again.
Yeah.
So never stop.
Yeah. And that feeds into our one of our pet peeves is like when people go, oh, are you okay? In the middle of a competition. And then our other one is like, let's go, babe. I love you. I love you. I'm like, what does that have to do with anything right now? I'm trying to win. Stop yelling, I love you, and I'm proud of you right now. Like, I don't care if you're proud of me. Like, I've got to get through this.
I'm focused.
Yeah,
right
let's
now.
go. You know.
Wait, but Ashlie, did I hear you say Dr. Todd looked at your thumb on the race and said that it was good? That's
shade. She's throwing shade.
No, I remember. Well, okay, because the thing is Todd has jammed. He hasn't. I don't know if you've really broken.
My fingers are all crooked right now.
He's jammed his fingers so many times with basketball.
Player. Yeah.
And so I remember when it happened, I told Todd, I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like I broke my finger. He's like, and while we're like carrying this mattress, he's like, you might have jammed it. And so then I go into like a hypochondriac mode where I'm like, this is it. Like, they're going to kick us off the race because I have a medical injury. And so like my mind starts to go in like a very like downward spiral. And he knows that about me. So if he can just keep things at like, you're fine. It's nothing that happens all the time. You're golden. I know it hurts, but just like,
Meanwhile, I looked at it. I was like, oh my God.
Like, that thing might fall off. Oh my God. She's going to lose a finger. But I still love you, babe. You're doing great. I'm so proud of you. Okay.
I
Brice, I don't think I needed my notes this week. I feel like I didn't need them. This is more
Todd
fun.
and Ashlie.
Why did I take the notes?
I've got a random question for you, Todd. I don't know if you up on it or not, but I just want to know who you got, Kendrick or Drake or Cole?
Honestly, dude. Well, I love Cole. Just because.
But yeah, he took. But I mean, how you feel about that apology?
Yeah, he bowed out. You know, he showed his skill and bowed out. I'm going with Drake.
Okay.
And I know I live on the West Coast. I know I'm a West, but I'm going with Drake on this one.
I am too.
I'm interested in to see the response. We're still waiting though.
So did you hear the alleged second response that they said is like AI from Kendrick? So yeah, I definitely think Kendrick's verse was fire, but I'm going with Drizzy Drake. And it's like, how can you not root for Drake when you got 12 people coming against you?
Right. He kind of everyone's coming against him right now. I feel, kind of bad for the guy, but I don't really, because he's a millionaire and he's
right.
So
Brooke, I'm like, are these racing?
They are. This was a puzzle. You didn't see Phil spitting them Kendrick lines at the end of the episode, Ashlie?
I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, I'm lost. I'm like, wait, who? What? My notes don't show it.
Like rap battles. There's nothing in here about any of that.
It's
but
the top
that's
three.
fine.
It's the big three. But it's not really the big three when you the big one. My question is, Danny. So we back to Danny and Angie. We're getting to the meat part
What?
of it.
Okay.
I'm sending Brooke into a tizzy.
Okay.
I want to know, what was your thoughts on his move? Did you think it was legendary? Did you think it was amazing? Or did you not like it?
Are we talking about when he iced out the other two teams? Legendary. I thought that was a brilliant move. I would have done the same thing. I would have been like, hey, let's take as long as guys, we got all the time in the world because no one else is coming in. So let's get this like perfect, right? Like I thought that was genius. And I know he was so cute because he was like, that wasn't the nicest move. Like I will say I do appreciate Angie and Danny because every decision they make is like, is it nice or not? Which I like them. I like that though.
You know what? I'll say it because Brice is not going to disconnect me. Is Angie? This don't kick me. Come on.
I'll knock you right here. Go ahead.
The thing is, Danny is all that wasn't. I think Danny realized, and I think Angie realizes that she wasn't being nice. But I thought one of the things that I think about what Angie did is when Yvonne and Melissa were like, "Can you just tell us, like, you guys are done, we get it. Can you just, Angie?" And she's like, "I didn't do it. I don't know." And I'm like, that's just a lot. You do know. At least just be like, "Look, I'm really sorry. Good luck," and walk away. Like, at least own it. I feel like don't put it on Danny because then they're gonna ask Danny, and don't get mad when they ask Danny because what else are they gonna do? But
I agree with you, Brooke. It's kind of like our season with Chelsea and Robin. It's like,
okay.
Hey, you're not going to tell us, if you're going to help us, just like own up to it. Hey, sorry, this is a game, move on. But like totally ignoring it or like passing the buck, you're like, come on, you know?
That makes it worse.
And like
yeah.
Danny is such a nice guy, right? He's so nice. And then he does this and you're like, bro.
You got it in you.
He got it in though, right?
See, that's why I think he is playing to win. He's playing to be there, and he's a super fan, and I get it. He wants to just stay as long as possible, but when he has the opportunity to like do something that will actually help him get ahead, I think he's playing to win.
Does it
I do
with
think
a smile on his face.
Okay,
You know,
so
these
wait,
are kind of a killer. Like you're like, you know,
Okay,
like that's
wait.
kind of jacked up.
Here's my question though.
Okay.
Let's just hypothetically say we fast forward a little bit in the race. Same alliances are in play. Do you think that he's going to be just as nice if like it depends on like who, like if they're running to not be last? Like, do you think that this niceness is going to carry on even if they're running to survive? Do you know what I'm saying?
I think if you're second to last, I think the understanding amongst any alliance is you're not going to wait. With the exception of one stupid season where a team did wait for last, but it was really stupid. But,
okay, but I agree with you. But then we saw Vinny and Amber. Like, they refused to leave the roadblock until I would have been like, I love you. I'm out of here. Like I would not have waited.
In their defense, they might be like, it's too early to.
Yeah, I think so too. I think they made a deal for the mega leg. They knew there were teams behind them. They didn't want to do something knowing this at this point, it's the race course. So there's so much left of the leg that like you screw over your alliance that early in the leg. Now knowing what Danny is capable of, like good thing you didn't because he might have just told Rod and Letitia and Yvonne and Melissa to take the 3 stations if Vinny and Amber left them high and dry at the race course. And so I get Amber's dedication at this point, but I do hope that it's not something that hinders them in the long run.
I feel like Vinny and Amber haven't had the best edit as like a couple thus far. And I love the fact that when that did happen, we didn't see Vinny kind of fight her about it. Like, I feel like for me, sometimes I'm a loyal person and sometimes I am loyal to like at my fault. So it's like, I do appreciate seeing that in her. And so sometimes it's like, I'll take a loyal person over a lot of other things. So I do have a lot of respect for Amber for that. And especially since she was, looking out for my girl. But I also felt like reason 8,632 why I'm team Angie, because Mama Angie, she a G. Like, she like, I don't need you to stay with me. Like, go. Like Angie was telling her to go.
Sorry, wrong, boo, disagree.
Angie was telling her to go.
No, Angie was telling her to go so long as she first helped her with her puzzle. gentle. This was not don't help me go.
I didn't
This
say
was
Angie was Angie not a slow G. A G gets the help and they tell you to go. That's what makes her a real G.
I think if Amber left without helping Angie and Letitia, knowing that they had this alliance, this leg, Angie would have slit her. She is cold as ice. Cold, and I love it. Would have slit her throat. She said, no, don't wait for us. You go. But she was not saying, don't help me. She was like, oh yeah, girl, great. Like, show me the order and then go. Yeah. This was not as selfless as I think we think it is all I'm saying.
I agree.
Just saying.
It's definitely, this was
like
a great episode.
Yeah, I think it was great. I mean, I don't see the point in having taken notes, which is totally fine. I don't care. Okay.
It was a great episode, except when it had to do with like Derek and Shalisa, because I loved them. I thought that they were great. And I just love the fact, again, just how you said before, I love the fact that they bicker, they argue, but I also love that Derek knew that Shalisa was the leader, right? And it's like they would learn stuff and he's asking Shalisa to teach them. And she's like, how? I'm gonna teach you. I need to learn first. I just like their communicational skills. And I thought like you could see it. And they looked it good for however old they said they were. They lying, because in my opinion, they like 32.
They're great. Yeah, I love them. And you know what? Like my favorite line was, he's like, man, I was close. And she's like, close. And he's like, yeah, I was. I was like, yes.
No.
Yes.
My favorite line was the last episode when they were doing the skateboard and she said something like, I don't know, he said something, are you proud of me or something? And she was like, I would be if like you hurried up. And he was like, see, she could have just said
that was unnecessary, right?
Yeah, like I love their dynamic. I love their banter back and forth. Like I wish that we had more of them. I wish they did not leave us already.
Yeah, so. And like they took nothing personal. They knew
you could tell they genuinely looked like they were having a good time, you know. So.
I was just bummed because I think they could have finished a lot higher than what they did.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah. So like from what we know, they decided to do the Bolo one because it seemed more fun and more Argentinian as opposed to just riding a bicycle. So I think the answer would have been never go there in the first place or never give up in the first place, because I think we can all agree that while they got further and further behind as the day went on, they didn't actually even do the final detour. They were told after the soccer stadium to go to the pit stop. And I really think the cool part is, because they're cops, I think they would have done the other detour, the fingerprinting. And I think that one looked really cool. And I want to see somebody try it.
Right?
Same. We would have done the fingerprinting for sure.
That's what the one we would have chose too. So.
But alas, they are gone.
I know. We didn't talk about but
but can I say something?
You can say whatever you want, and I won't let him hang up on you. Go for it.
That bubble soccer challenge, I would have had so much fun. I would have been like Rod in there, because that was so built for Rod. Like, you just go in there, run everybody. He's a football player. He played for the NFL. He could have destroyed those people.
I think people were running away from him. I think people were like, "You go, it's cool."
Yeah, for sure.
I kind of know. I don't know, but I know. Like, he held back on that. Like,
for sure.
He would have killed them. He would have killed them.
Also, shout out to Cesar, because he went in and he's like, "Wait, I can hit people." Like, once he realized he could knock people over, he's like, "I'm heavy. Like, I'm in it." And he just started like boop, 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 boop. And he did great. I think that we didn't give them enough credit this episode, because the cool part about this episode was this is the first time we actually saw Ricky and Cesar struggle a little bit at anything. And the dynamic they have between the two of them mostly was Cesar calming down Ricky. But Ricky wasn't so worked up. But like, they have a very good dynamic, and they were able to just sort of like see the bigger picture. Yes, it's hard for this second, but we regroup and we're okay. And I would like to see a little bit more. I would like to see them get to the finale. I think they would be great, and I think they deserve it, especially with how they've been racing this race, because they're very smart. But I would like to see a little bit more. I think the struggle is fun. Like, the sadistic part of me likes that.
I could too. That's okay. I think that's what I like about watching the race, is seeing how people interact or overcome very difficult challenges, or getting lost, or, you know, being second to last, and like, okay, how are we going to recover? That's what I really enjoy about watching the race. Todd and I were talking, I think Wednesday night or whatever, but do you think that because Ricky and Caesar, they're good at everything. Like we haven't really seen them like be terrible. Right. So we were like, oh, do you think that they would be doing so well if they maybe went to a different country that had different, different language? And a part of me thought like, yeah, for sure they would have a struggle. But then I don't know. We keep seeing them like
after that Bolero challenge, man. Like they showed.
So I'm curious, what do you guys think? Do you think that they would continue to thrive if they were on doing a race that would take them to different countries and different languages? Or do you think that they would still be consistently at the top?
I think they would consistently be at the top. I don't believe that Ricky and Caesar are human. I think that they are like these superpower people that I don't know where they came from, what planet, but they're like, I honestly think that they really would be good. It looks like they have prepared. And when you say super fans, sometimes you see super fans that show up as Danny, but other times we see super fans that show up like a Caesar that is like so equipped for everything, so fast thinking, so calm level, and having a great partner like Ricky. So I'm gonna go with, I think that they would still be doing really well.
I'm gonna go with like 75% the same of what you said, but I do think if they ended up in a country without English or without Spanish, I think if they ended up in like a Far East country where there was a legitimate language barrier, probably for most people on this season of the race, then I think that they would struggle a little. I think that their advantage is the ability to ask for directions and use the locals and use their surroundings very, very easily. And I think if that was taken away from them, I don't think it would make them any less fantastic at the actual roadblocks and detours, because once you see a demonstration or whatever, you're fine. Unless they were involved in doing things like going into a market and having to use the local language and communicate. I think they would struggle a little. I actually think they would struggle more if they were on a season with U-turns, because I think that everyone would try and stop them. And I think that by no fault of their own. I mean, they can't. Right. I think that that's where they would fall to the back of the pack, because I think whenever anybody got a chance, they would try and take them out because they're that good.
I totally agree with you, because a lot of people think, oh, the language barrier is hard for like the roadblock or the, detours. But like, honestly, like our experience, it's like when you stop and ask for directions and people look at you with that blank stare and they don't know one bit of English. You don't know one bit of their language. And you are literally going,
you're like trying to mime it.
You're trying to mime. And like, they get none of that, right? And so like that was the hardest part about our.
I agree. I feel like that's what took the longest during the.
And that's when it sets in panic, it sets in doubt, it sets in a lot of things that you don't see on the screen. That's like just in between your ears, right? And you're just like, is this even the right way?
Well, unless you're me, because I say everything that's in my head because I never shut up. So you actually saw it on my screen because I could never stop myself from talking. We joke around that if you watch me on mute, I'm like a good racer. But if you watch me while talking, I sound like a moron because I'm just telling myself I can't do things, and I just never. At one point in Vietnam, I have a conversation with a stop sign. Like it just doesn't. It didn't even make it. I'm not joking. It didn't make sense. But I think the cool part about the language barrier is that part is where you're going to see a shakeup in the order. With when you're starting 3 teams at a time or 2 at a time, and there isn't that. Sometimes you get lucky and you get a local who will understand a bit, or sometimes you get really unlucky and you get a cab driver who just
Brooke, you just remind me, in Vietnam, when we're in Vietnam, we had this situation where we talked to somebody in broken like slow English, and they just shake their head, yeah. Like, do you know where you're going? Yeah. And you hop in and they have no idea where they're going. Right?
Because yes is the most easily. Everyone wants to be yes. But you don't know what they're saying yes to, and then people don't really know. And I think people are afraid to say no or let you down, and a lot of people just say yes, and you're like,
that's the hardest part. It's not really the language barrier. It's like the yeah, let's go, and you're like, wait, we're lost. So yeah, definitely.
Before we let you go, we know taking Ricky and Caesar out of it, who are some teams that you think that we could see in the end or potentially win outside of Ricky and Caesar?
I kind of feel like the last few legs, I personally think the top 3 in the last 3 episodes are the ones that I think are the ones to watch.
Right.
I'm hoping Team Walla Walla. I would love for them to win one. I do. I just like, as Danny's like a super fan, like I want to know what it's like to actually win one. We don't know. We have no idea what it's like to win
Danny's
one.
Such
But
a good guy. Yeah.
I really do wish that they could win one. But I think we saw the last, the top 3.
Yeah. Rod and Letitia for sure, and
Amber.
Juan and Shane. Yeah.
Juan and Shane.
I think Amber and Vinny though. I think
Nah, man, I fell off. I fell off.
Well, this was the bike, but I think that they like.
I think they have it in them. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
I like Amber. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
What did he do to you?
What is when he couldn't do the bike?
He's so
Todd. Vinny is gonna send you a Peloton request, and y'all gonna have to go at it on Peloton.
Yeah, they're
and
gonna do a battle to see.
Right, and my money on.
As
Vinny.
long as Rod's not there, I'm in.
I would offer to jump into this battle, but I know when I'm about to lose something. So hard pass on from me, but you'll let us know how that turned out.
Yeah.
But Todd and Ashlie, we can't thank you enough for taking the time out of your busy day and to come on the podcast and talk Amazing Race with us. It's been truly a pleasure. We hope that we get to see you soon and talk to you even sooner. Thank you.
Likewise. Thank you for having us on. You guys are the best. We love your
appreciate
and
it.
And she watches all your purple pants stuff, all that stuff. So
yeah.
definitely.
Big fan.
I'm going to make it a point to only say nice things about Ashlie every episode from now on. I didn't know. It's so nice when people listen and watch. And you guys are so fun and wonderful. And I hope you get to see you in person again.
Have you guys, like, I know you guys do Survivor stuff. Have you checked out, what is it, Deal or No Deal Island?
With
I
Boston
love
Rob,
Deal or No Deal Island. I want to be on Deal or No Deal Island. I think that would be
it's so good. So good.
So, yeah.
Anyway. Side note.
Well, we appreciate you guys, and we'll talk to you soon. It's been your recap of the week. Let's go.
Bye.
Bye. See you guys.
Stop. Pit, stop. It's a